Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson, Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and welcome to Impact. Each week we bring you information about exciting things that are happening right here in our community, and today will be no different. I recently had the privilege to talk with a group of young lions in this community who are making a difference in the filmmaking industry. And I have the privilege of talking with them on the set of Impact today, and I'll introduce them at this time. Jeremy Isabelle, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here today, and your brother Jurian is here with you as well. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
It's good to have both of you here, and of course I know there's another brother, David, and he's not on the set today, but we know he's always close by. And I wanted to talk to you guys today about your recent film project, that's The Last Disciples. I know you just had a recent premiere. It was huge. I had a chance to be there actually for that. There was a lot of energy in the crowd, a lot of excitement, a lot of anticipation, and it seems like you guys are showing a whole lot of love. So tell us a little something about the project, and congratulations, by the way, on the success.
Thank you. The project premiered recently. It was a long process. Speaking of that night, we were just blessed to even be in the midst of everybody's vibes and getting everything ready to go, and everybody was excited. We had 2 sold-out shows. I think it was around 800 or so people, lines wrapped around the building, and everybody was in line. Everybody was excited and had patience and was just ready to see what was all the hype about. And for the most part, we heard nothing but great reviews, and that's just a blessing.
So tell me the premise of this film called The Last Disciples.
Basically, we decided we wanted to take concepts and principles that were found in biblical stories and make them real for people outside of a traditional setting. You know, we usually go to church and sit in the pew, give out our dollars and listen to these stories, but I think a lot of times it kind of goes over our head because of the context of the stories. We think it happened like 2,000 years ago, and how can it possibly relate to me? I mean, I got this going on, I got that going on. Like, they didn't have that back then, or they weren't on computers, they weren't on cell phones. But what we miss is the principle. Like, what we miss is the concepts, what the stories were trying to convey. And it's just hard for us to get that when everybody's walking around in bed sheets and sandals. So we're like, okay, let's take it and try to modernize it and make it in a way that when we watch it, or young kids coming up watching it, or the future generations watch it, it'll be a bridge between what's to come as far as spirituality and Christians go, or just believers, and the traditional, where we all come from, the traditional setting of the church structure and that type of thing.
So this is the millennial generation. It's a generation of young people today who see things differently, and they certainly connect with things in ways that my generation, the boomers, don't necessarily connect with. At the same rate, I saw the movie and I was able to connect with it. And I guess I'm just wondering, what is your target audience? Are you trying to specifically target those millennials? Are you trying to reach the boomers like me and the X's and the Y's? Who are you trying to reach with this film?
Our target audience was just everybody. And that's amazing that you could relate back. Sometimes the boomers, as you say, they forget about that. This younger generation is, you know, people are born every day and they have to have help, just like, you know, the boomers did. And that was just the main point. We want the boomers, as you say, to say, okay, you know, maybe they forgot about what happened in this story, or maybe they see a different way of presenting it to their family members, younger nephews and nieces. So that was the purpose.
So you told contemporary stories about 3 of my favorite characters in the Hebraic Bible: Cain and Abel, Noah, and Job. I got to ask you, what was your favorite story in that trilogy? Or did you have one?
It's tough. I can't say, because it's crazy, because every story, every character, I took something from it. So to me, I really can't call it right now.
Oh yeah, I think it would be hard for us to really do that, because actually in the writing process, I think part of that is you take a piece of yourself and put it in the character unconsciously. So I think all those characters have bits and pieces of us while we're writing the script. It's just we don't think about it that way, because you always write from what you know or experiences or how you feel about something. So I think all of us can relate to all the characters, and probably anybody can, because all of them have just basic human elements and human traits that I think a lot of people respond to. So while you may look at the person or the actor who's portraying it and say, that's not really like me, or I wouldn't have said it like that, or I wouldn't have used that type of language, the passion behind it or the point behind it, you can relate to. So I think even though the characters may vary wide scale as far as like, you know, whatever background or whatever, you know, position they were coming from, the core of it, the passion of it, people are like, okay, you know, I can respect this because I feel where he's coming from. I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have phrased it that way, but yeah, I'm with him.
Yeah, and as screenwriters and directors and producers, of course, you're very close to the story. I'm sitting in the audience watching it, so I'm kind of looking at things from my eyes as a viewer. And, you know, I see what you're saying because each of the characters, each of the stories had something specific to tell and spoke to me in a specific way. I was really, really impressed. I'm not saying it was unexpected, but I was just impressed at the quality of the film work. I thought that the directing was great. I thought the acting was good. I thought that the script writing was good. The cinematography was on point. I mean, everything seemed to, the editing seemed to be well done. I mean, how do you put that process in play? Tell me a little bit about the backstory behind that, because this is an independent film.
It is.
It's not a Hollywood production that's getting millions and millions of dollars behind it. How do you put this process together and then keep pushing through the challenges that you face?
Speaking on the characters alone, it's amazing to think none of those characters were official actors.
Or
trained or nothing. It was pure talent, pure passion, pure trust in us to make them not look silly.
Yeah, because it could have easily went silly. It could have easily went retarded.
Well, speaking on the characters, we wrote the script and we knew people who would fit that script or who would carry this script to where we would like it to go. And they did it. People came from Atlanta, New Orleans, and really bought into the script, all of the characters.
They really believed in it. Like I think a lot of people are trying to look for, because it's like, yeah, we're Christians, we're spiritual, but it's just something about the way it's presented, just it's hard to connect with nowadays because you see all the real. And I think with the process of it, like as far as the editing and all that go, that was part of our, I think it was easier because it was real. Like it kind of motivated us. It's like, we got to get this out. We got to get this point of view out to people so they can see it and let them know, okay, yeah, it's okay for me to be spiritual. It's okay for me to believe because I know these characters. I know these people. I know it. Like it becomes real for them. And so the editing process, it was painstaking. Like it took us 2 years to get all of the sound together, all of the shots together. You know, when you talking about financial, there was no huge financial backing, so you had to shoot a little bit here, work, shoot a little bit there, work, shoot, you know, take a trip to New Orleans. So it was kind of like us just kind of persevering through it, and really the only thing really was just like the idea that we need to get this out. And God was definitely with us in the project. We constantly stumbled on stuff and said, this is making the film better. Or we hit a plug-in, or we hit a certain thing on the Final Cut, and then the quality just goes like through the roof, and you like, okay, let's go back and, you know, so it was just kind of like God was definitely in the process of making it, give it that feel, because, I mean, there were no big Hollywood cameras. There was none of this stuff, but we just constantly found stuff and found cheats and found people wanted to support and say, hey, y'all come stay with us. Or, you know, we're taking like Ace, one of the actors in New Orleans, family just pretty much took us in. We went to New Orleans. We didn't know anybody in New Orleans. And my dad, I put my dad on blast. He actually hit me up while we were on set in New Orleans, like in the hood of New Orleans. And he was like, what are you doing down in New Orleans? And I'm like, we down here shooting a movie. He was like, you gonna get yourself killed trying to shoot this movie. He was like, trees talking New Orleans, like get back up here in Huntsville. And I'm like, it's gonna be fine. So it was really just like us having the faith in it, even when against all the obstacles. And like, it was really just a miracle. Like it was a miracle film.
How do you take a dream like this? Because I'm sure this has dreamlike qualities in one sense to conceptualize this idea, first of all. And then you have to kind of think about how am I gonna get this done and what's it going to take in terms of resources and how am I going to energize people and engage them? And you responded to some of that already, but how do you carry that dream from start to finish and in the face of adversity and challenges? Because I know you had to have some. And I'm speaking to the larger story here because there are people watching today who have these same kinds of ideas. They're trying to get somewhere in life. They're trying to do something. They feel like they can't quite go that next step. but you guys obviously have done it. And I'm just wondering if you could speak to people listening today about how do you take that dream? How do you carry it from the concept to the conclusion?
Right. I would say just keep pressing forward. Don't stop. It doesn't cost to stop. It doesn't cost to start. Maybe if just work within your budget, work with whatever you got, work with it the best way you can. It doesn't cost to call a friend or call a company. We paid the cable bill and phone bill anyway. So, I mean, it doesn't cost to call a theater and say, hey, what can we do? How can you work with us? So just press every button you can, walk down every alley you can safely, and just work. If you want it, you got to work towards it, and stopping it can't be an option.
At any time, because we could have stopped. I mean, at one point in time, all the audio dropped from the whole movie.
Wow.
And that was like a couple of months ago.
Wow.
But looking back at the obstacles, and I think if you're a spiritual person and you have faith in God, then you'll know that God is always there. So even the stuff that looks like pitfalls is probably actually working in your favor, but you have to continue. Like, you'll never know unless you continue the journey, because it would have been easy to say, oh, this is not meant to be, like, let's just stop, or what are we doing? Like, this is maybe not the right thing to do, compromising your vision, or let's not say this, let's not do that. You know, start backtracking, but then the power, you're losing all the power from it. Like, you sucking all the power of what's making you or the project you out of it when you start compromising stuff because you don't have enough faith to move forward. So, I mean, just like Jeremy said, work with what you have, while you have it, and just press forward and just have faith that it'll work out.
Well, we've got a few minutes left in the broadcast, maybe about 3 minutes. And before I give you guys a chance to tell people how they can connect with you, I just got to bring up one thing about the film. You had lots of characters in the film.
Mm-hmm.
You had one relatively well-known person, one of my favorite singers from Sounds of Blackness, Ann Nesby. What's up with taking Ann out, man? That's what I want to know, man. I'm sitting there watching this thing, and you guys took Ann Nesby out, and I was like, what's up with that?
I mean, as far as the film, the script writing process goes, we coined this term called ultra realism. And that meant getting it as close to reality that it'll stick with people as possible, reasonably possible, without it getting too crass. And in the context of the New Orleans story, in the Noah story, original story, the world was wicked. I mean, it's clearly defined. So it's like, okay, we have to roll with that. And we can't, like, I was about to say, set them footing around, but we can't like jump around that. It's like you got to show it, and what's wicked today, and we hit all of those things in that story. And I mean, that's real life. Sometimes people do crazy things, and the best people, innocent people, and most faithful people are harmed by it. So let's show that, and it's more powerful just to tell the truth. So if somebody is thinking about going out and doing something crazy, they'll have that vision in their head. This is, maybe like somebody's innocent mother, like figure or mother in this situation before I decide to do something crazy, or I decide to do something because I want this or that. You know what I mean? So we just wanted to make it real for people.
All right, well, it was real, man. I mean, I'm glad for your explanation, because that troubled my soul, man.
Yeah,
I was like,
I mean,
sing for me, girl.
But life is troubling, though. And just take the guy who came in and shot all those people up in that church, innocent people. I mean, that was somebody's mom. That was somebody's, this is real. Like, life is real. So we wanted to show that in the film. And so I think that made it more impactful for people. That's why people are standing up thinking about it at night, because it forces you to think about the decisions you make in life, and the people that you affect, and the characters in your life that you affect.
Those are two things I think that were strongest that I walked away with: the issue of the choices that we make and the consequences that come from those choices. I mean, that was just a powerful, consistent thread in the process, and I'm delighted I had a chance to have the experience. Many more people can too. Tell us how people can find out more about The Last Disciples. Where can they connect with you?
www.isabellebrothers.com. Again, that's www.isabellebrothers.com. And there you can view the trailer. You can view anything that we have going on in the future. We're going to post everything there. We're pushing everybody to that website. And there will be something coming in the future.
All right, well, keep us posted. We'd love to hear about it, and we'd love to be supportive of it.
Thank you so much.
Jeremy and Jurian Isabelle, we thank you so much for the work that you've done and commitment that you make. You inspire me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
want to thank you for being a part of our broadcast today, and we hope that you've learned a lot about not just movie making, but the power of a dream and the work that the Isabelle Brothers has done in producing this film, The Last Disciples. We hope that you'll like our Facebook page, which is Impact with Kenny Anderson, where we'll have images of this broadcast, some behind-the-scenes shots, and information about how to contact the Isabelle Brothers. In the meantime, we hope that you have a great rest of the week, and until our next show, be safe.